That is why I believe that this method puts small artists at a huge disadvantage. My name is Alex, and I've run over $700,000 in meta ads for music promotion, and I built my EDM record label to over 22 million streams using meta ads. In this video, I'm going to break down the gen method from the independent artist blueprint and explain why some artists struggle with it. So what is the gen method? Well, it's a meta ad strategy used to get more listens on streaming services like Spotify. It was created by Nico, aka Gent, who used it to get millions of streams and monthly listeners on his own artist profile on Spotify. After he found success with his artist project, he started a music marketing company that uses and preaches the principles that he learned.
Since then, we have helped artists generate over 500 million streams using our strategy.
A meta ad campaign shows ads on Facebook and or Instagram that look like this. If the person likes what they hear and see, they can click on the ad to go to a landing page that then gives them options to go to music services. They then click on the music service, they're taken to the service, and then they hopefully listen to your song all the way through, save it, and hopefully that triggers the algorithm and gets you tons of free listeners. Here are some of the pillars of the gen method. Number 1, you spend most of your budget in the first couple of days that the campaign is on. They claim that this gives you a better chance at hitting the algorithm and getting a lot of listeners. Number 2, you're targeting a variety of countries. So not only are you targeting countries like the United States and Germany that pay a lot per Spotify stream, you're also targeting countries like Mexico and Brazil that are cheaper to advertise to and they pay less per stream, but can end up triggering the algorithm and give you more listeners in high-paying countries than if you only targeted high-paying countries. Number 3, creative variety. So testing out a bunch of different visuals with your song to find the one that connects with people the most. Number 4, testing interests. So targeting different audiences based on their individual interests like genre preferences or artist preferences in order to find the audience that resonates the most with your song and your creatives. And lastly, a holistic catalog focus. So not relying on just one song to boost your career, but instead relying on consistent releases over time that add up to get you the Spotify streams that you are looking for. Before I get to anything negative, I want to make sure that I touch on all of the best parts about this strategy. Jend and a lot of his acquaintances are absolutely crushing with it, and it gets so much right. The blueprint recommends a starting budget of between 200 and 500 euros. For the rest of the video, I'm going to be talking in dollars, but it's fairly similar. I love this as a starting budget because it's typically enough to trigger the Spotify algorithm if the campaign runs well, but you're not risking too much money up front, especially while you're getting used to the process of running meta ads. I plan to spend $500 in meta ads on every song that my record label releases. I sometimes cut them early if the ads are not performing well, but it's what I like to do to give the songs the best shot at hitting the Spotify algorithm. And then I add more budget later if that first campaign did go really well. They recommend starting campaigns with tier 1 and tier 2 countries together, which I love to do. I do this for every single one of the songs that my label releases. And the reason for that is to get the most amount of listeners and streams from tier 1 countries like the United States. Targeting tier 2 countries is the fastest way to get there in almost every case. And just because you have tier 2 countries in your targeting doesn't mean those are the only places your ads are going to show, even if it's cheaper to show ads there. The ads tend to show in the countries that resonate with your music the most. So if that's the United States, the ads will be shown to the United States. If it's Brazil, the ads are going to show to Brazil. And I like to have Meta do the heavy lifting and figure that out for me. Another thing they do super well is encouraging creative variety. So they test a lot of different types of videos in their ads to see what works best. And in many cases, shifting around the visuals can get you vastly different results. And so it's important to test a variety. And the last thing, which I also think is their absolute best message, and it is also my message as well, it is to test many songs. It is to build a catalog and test songs as you release them, because not every song is going to be a winner, and you want to find the ones that are. And the real about this part is it really sucks. Making a new song is the hardest thing to do when you're looking at, here are my ads, what can I improve about them? But it's also the thing that makes the biggest difference. And so you need to oftentimes release a lot of music before it starts getting good enough for people to like it when they hear it in the context of an ad. But building a bigger catalog doesn't just help with more testing in your ads. It also helps Spotify to know who to share your music with. The more data you give Spotify, the better job they can do of sharing your music with new people. And I've noticed over time as my label releases more music, and in many cases, more music for the same artists, they get better and better results, even if the costs for the ads aren't that great. So that's a lot of praise, but where do I actually disagree with the Gen method? Real quick, if you make EDM and you don't want to have to bother with all of these complicated ad campaigns and you don't want to spend money on marketing, well then submit a demo to my record label, Spiration Music, where we do all of that for you. If your demo is accepted, we handle the meta ads and the playlisting so that you can focus on your music. I'm going to follow the $300 ad campaign example in the Independent Artist Blueprint to talk about these points. The starting setup for a $300 budget is 20 individual ads, all spending $5 per day. And so that means you spend $100 after day one, and that's a third of your budget. After day one, you turn off the ads that are ineffective, and they say that is typically going to be ads that are above 40 cents per conversion. And throughout the next $200 in ad spend, you're continuing with this process, turning off the underperforming ads and just using the ads that perform well. I really don't like this because it relies on people who are new to meta ad marketing to make good decisions based on the data that they are seeing. And the data that they are seeing is garbage in the first place. So there is a lot in that statement that needs to be broken down, starting with why people make the wrong decisions when looking at data in meta ads. I think this is the hardest thing to overcome in meta ad marketing. It is the urge to see patterns where they don't actually exist and make decisions based on incomplete data. If you're looking at a bunch of ads and you see the cost for all of them, if you've only run $2 to each ad, you have no idea which one is performing the best, even if one cost per result is 3 times cheaper than another. If you've spent $30 on each one of those ads, you do have a pretty good idea of which one is going to perform best long term. And the more money that is spent, the more confident you can be in the decision to turn off or keep an ad on. The hard thing is being able to turn it off soon enough so that you are not wasting money, but not too soon that you are making the wrong decision for the campaign. And if the cost per result on Meta was the end-all be-all for how well an ad is going to perform, then maybe this could be a good strategy. But unfortunately, it isn't, and the cost per action can be incredibly misleading. There are 2 fundamental things that are required for ads to do well on platforms like Meta or Google, and that is budget and time. And in this particular ad campaign setup, we've got the budget, but we do not have the time. It is mind-blowing how much a cost in an ad can drop in the course of 3 to 7 days. And by turning it off day one, when it's running at its worst, I think is a huge missed opportunity. The great thing about the Meta ad campaign system is that Meta has things in place that can make those decisions for you. And they make those decisions with way more context than you do. You look at the cost per action. Meta is looking at how long are people watching the ad? Who are they sharing it with? What is the hook rate of the ad? What countries is this resonating most with? And it decides which ad should get the budget. And yes, sometimes Meta gets this wrong. But is it going to get it wrong more than someone who is new to Meta ads that thinks they can decide which ad is performing best based on a faulty metric? No! And the other nice thing that you can do differently than what this campaign setup recommends is not testing out audience interests. Like I said before, you might test out 2 audience interests and see that one audience interest is performing better. And you might think, logically, this interest performing better is the right choice, and it's a good thing I tested these things. When in reality, if you're comparing 2 different data metrics, one is just probably going to be higher than the other. And so you're looking and seeing a pattern where really you're just seeing random variability. And it's not actually because you tested different audiences, it's because both ad sets are operating independently, and they just happened to have one that found more people to click than the other. But long term, they likely converge and perform the same as long as the creative and the song is the same. And now let's add another complication on top of all of this. The more that you spend daily, the worse results you are going to get. So if you spend $100 in one day, you will have less people clicking to go to your music than if you spend $100 over the course of 10 days. And the reason why I assume this method is okay with that is because it claims that streams in the first 24 to 48 hours are critical. I have not once in my meta ad marketing career ever seen data to support this statement. What is critical is the first 28 days, or after that, any rolling 28-day window. Why do I say those things are critical? Because a data scientist, multiple data scientists have looked into what is the strongest correlation between Discover Weekly and Release Radar pushes and Spotify metrics. And the most correlated factor is streams in the 28-day window. The first 28-day window is what's important for Release Radar, and any 28-day window is important for Discover Weekly.
As a data scientist, I took a look at a community source data set, and I'm going to break down the full report.
So you can promote a song that's over 2 years old, and if it does great in the 28-day window, you can get amazing algorithmic support. And for that reason, I see spending this much money in the first couple of days just a waste of good conversions. If anyone sends me data that shows the first 24 to 48 hours are critical, I'm totally open to changing my mind on this. I just haven't seen it. I will link videos in the description of this video that show the importance of the 28-day window. The core takeaway here is that I don't like this method because it requires artists to make the right decisions about the data that they see, and the data that they're seeing is very incomplete. That is why I believe that this method puts small artists at a huge disadvantage. There is an elephant in the room. Why am I criticizing someone who has millions of streams to back them up? Well, I also have millions of streams to back my method up. And other people have millions of streams to back their totally different methods up. We all have millions of streams to back up our own methods. So why is that? Why can we all be successful with different methods? That all just leads us to the real truth that exists in music marketing. The more that people like the music in the promotion, the less that everything else matters. If there is one thing I want you to take away from this video, it is follow whatever method feels right for you and the one that you like the most. But just know your success mostly hinges on how much people like your music. Of course, visuals are an important part of this too, and that is something that is more important than campaign structure. So let's say this: the more people like your music, the less the visuals and the structure of the campaign matters. The more people like your music and visuals, the far less your campaign structure matters. Jend has a very successful artist project because he makes music that a lot of people really like and connect with. Not because he has a magical meta ad system, and I don't really think they're claiming to have a magical meta ad system. The same goes for my label. The label is doing well because people really like some of the music that we release, not because I have a magical campaign setup either. Because who cares if you turn off the wrong ads at the beginning of an ad campaign if every single ad is going to perform amazing anyways? And just because there isn't one magic style of campaign setup, it doesn't mean that there aren't disadvantages to certain campaign styles. My personal preference for running campaigns is to let Meta do as much of the heavy lifting as possible. So I use campaign budget optimization. I let Meta decide which ad sets to put money into. Within each ad set, I include 3 to 6 different individual ads, testing visuals and testing parts of the song that are playing. I'm not testing audiences, and I'm letting Meta decide both the ad sets that get the money, and within those ad sets, which ads get the money. I like to separate the ads into 3 different ad sets based on the type of visual that I'm doing. And I'll show those visuals here. There's the simple artwork visual. There's the edit visual. This is very similar to what Jend likes to do with his campaigns. And there's the artist performance visual, which is like the edit visual, but with the artist performing. With this setup, I would do $10 to $15 per day for 35 days and not turn anything off as the campaign is going. Let Meta do every single decision for me. I hope this video was helpful in understanding the particulars of the Jend method versus how some other people like to run ads. I hope you have amazing success with your music, and if you do make EDM and you don't want to do any of this marketing, submit a demo to my record label, Spiration Music, and we will spend all of the money and do all of the work for you.